What is going on, guys? SkiveWalker here, and today, well, we actually had two videos planned for you today, and what had happened was, well, the Fed actually had two videos for you today, but we had some technical difficulties, and, well, we just kind of couldn't make it happen. So, if you guys didn't know, I have church tonight, and I'm actually supposed to be there 20 minutes ago, but I'm running a little bit behind due to work, but I'm still going to make it. And after church will be too late. I know I'm not going to have enough time to record, as I have to be at work earlier tomorrow than normal. So I know I won't be able to record. I know I won't be able to edit. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to make a quick 10-minute video. But since I didn't have enough time to record, I figured, why not go live? Be easier. Don't have to edit anything. I can share it. Hopefully be able to interact with you guys in the chat or in the comment section. Anyways, you guys don't care about any of that. But I did promise daily videos, so I wanted to get this done and out of the way. So, first thing I want to talk about, the shellacking that the New York Yankees took yesterday. What in the world was that? Man, to be honest with you, I think it was just a bad game. Chris Sale outpitched Luis Severino that day. It is what it is. He didn't have control of his slider. He may have been tipping his pitches a little bit too much, letting the Red Sox hitters know what was coming. Kind of did seem that way a little bit. Not that the Red Sox were cheating, although it is Boston. Anything's possible. They do cheat. A lot, quite actually. Just look at Tom Brady. But, anyways, so I think Severino was tipping his pitches a little bit. He didn't have the greatest control of his slider, didn't have the best control of his fastball. You have one of those days. Unfortunately, it happens to the worst team in baseball. I know they're not the worst, but they're the most hated team, in my opinion. At least for me, they're the most hated team. But it is what it is. You had a bad day, and you had a really bad day. At least Aaron Judge hit a home run, so he didn't get shut out. Luckily tonight, Giancarlo Stanton, the bat finally came alive. Holy cow, he hit a two-run triple. It's about time, big fella. But I think the Yankees' problem is they just need it to warm up. I think that's what needs to happen across baseball. Me and the Fed are going to talk about it. We're already talking about a big podcast that we're planning for you, a big conversation. Could be approaching the hour-long limit. We're going to be talking about the NBA, considering the playoffs basically start tonight. We'll know all the seedings. I already talked about it, how crazy that the seedings could end up being. With the Western Conference, 3 through 7 can be decided. The Eastern Conference is far from decided. The Cavs and Philly are still going at it between the 3 seed, although the Cavs are going to be kind of resting their starters. They're going to play a little bit. LeBron's finally going to get to play all 82. For the first time in his career, which is pretty amazing. I kind of wish had been done that his whole career, but it's kind of amazing that it's going to be the first time he's ever done it. But hey, so 3 and 4 is up for grabs. 5 is not. The Pacers firmly have the 5, and then the most likely scenario is Milwaukee staying at 6, Miami staying at 7, and Toronto staying at, or Washington staying at 8. But 6 through 8 is also not decided. And you also have in the West, the 8th spot in the West is still up for grabs between Minnesota and Denver, and they're playing in Minnesota tonight, so that game will be pretty interesting. So there's a whole lot of things that can still happen in the NBA tonight. So it should be worth watching. But anyways, going back to the Yankees, just a little goof-up game. It is what it is. It's going to happen. But a little topic that me and the Fed are going to talk about regarding baseball is, if anybody knows me, I'm a baseball purist. I absolutely 100% hated when replay came into the game. I do believe now that there are certain instances where replay is needed and is valuable. But I think in baseball it's used too much for 2 instances. The Yankees-Orioles game that went into 14 innings the other night, where Baltimore ended up winning on a grand slam. That play at home, where I don't remember Baltimore's pitcher's name, but he made that great play on Didi Gregorius at home plate, blocked the plate. Didi wasn't able to touch home. It's kind of a bang-bang play, and it's hard to see with the naked eye. The umpire did get it right, but I'm glad that play was reviewable, because that is a big moment in the game, a big game-changing play, where it was either going to win the Yankees the game or it was going to send it to more innings. And we also know that Didi was out, and it was a correct call. It was perfect. And the replay didn't need to take as long as it did probably, but there was one angle where it looked closer than what it was. But Didi was definitely out. The umpire got it right on the first time. But then you have other instances where they review a play at second base on a stolen base, and the runner is there easily by a mile. He's safe by a mile. But then they review it, and the guy's leg pops up for just a half a second while the tag's still on him. I understand. At that point, the guy's out. Trust me. I 100% understand. But come on. It's baseball. It's bang, bang. It's going to happen. The guy's safe. He's there. Give him some room for error. I mean, come on. You can't control your body popping up all the time. At that point, I think that play's ridiculous. But I think we're going to talk about a little bit of that. But as much as I am a baseball purist, I think the regular season is too long. 162 games is a lot of games, and I used to argue that it should stay that way. But you're seeing now more than ever, players are just getting hurt in the cold. Whether or not they condition themselves in the off season, you can say that they don't do a good enough job of that, and maybe that's part of it. But I mean, come on, you're starting games in April, and then you're giving guys so many days off, which they need, because it's 162 games in a regular season, not including the postseason. Okay, they need those days off. I understand that, but now your season's going from February spring training to November for the playoffs, for the World Series. Trust me, I love baseball just as much as the next guy, maybe even more than the next guy. I love baseball. It is the only sport I really grew up playing. I played 2 years of basketball. I'm not a basketball player. I'm horrible. I'm fat. I'm slow. I can't jump. Basketball, not my sport. Baseball, though, something I can play. Something I enjoyed playing. Something I love playing. Baseball is my favorite sport, and it has been my favorite sport since I was 5 years old. I could watch baseball every day and not be upset about it. But the regular season is too long. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I don't want to beat the dead horse before we even get to it. But I'm looking forward to that. Sit down with me and the Fed. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the next thing I want to talk about, don't want to harp on the NBA too much because, again, a lot of things can still happen. A lot of things are going to happen tonight. I still think Anthony Davis should get the MVP. And if Anthony Davis doesn't get the MVP, it should be LeBron James. This whole notion that James Harden scoring more points per game than LeBron James, although statistically that's correct, what they don't leave out is LeBron has scored more points this year than James Harden. Here's the difference. If you go back and look, I have said how many games James Harden played, so I can't bring it up off the top of my head. I believe it's in the 60s, maybe even 70s now. But LeBron's played all 82 after tonight. Yeah, I'm sure he's not going to score a lot of points, so his points per game is going to dip again. So, sure, James Harden averages more points per game. LeBron has played every game and averages more rebounds, more assists, and has scored altogether more points. So if you're going to debate James Harden for the MVP, I will not listen to you because you are incorrect. LeBron James was the better basketball player on a worse basketball team because, let's be honest, Cleveland, let's take our homer hats off for a while. The Houston Rockets are a better team. However, as I went into, the Cleveland Cavaliers have LeBron James, and in a series, I would still take the Cavaliers because of LeBron James. Let's talk about the NFL. I know I just talked about the Colts yesterday. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Here, Cleveland. We are in Cleveland. I don't show as much love to Cleveland as I probably should. We're going to get Har Binks back on here soon. Talk a little bit of Tribe baseball. Because I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched one single pitch of Cleveland Indians baseball. I just haven't. Normally they play when the Yankees play. And when they open up in the West Coast, yeah, sorry, I'm not staying up all night for a Cleveland Indians baseball game. If it was the Yankees, I'm probably going to fall asleep with the game on. But I like the Indians. I hope if the Yankees don't win, that the Indians win, and I hope for the city that they win. But in all honesty, I'm not a big Indians fan. I do support Chief Wahoo, and I believe Chief Wahoo should still stay as their logo and still should stay on their hat. But I'll digress off of that. So talking about the Browns. Number one, in the draft, they need to take a quarterback. That's pretty obvious. Pretty apparent that they've got to take one. I don't care which one they take, but they need to take one. John Dorsey is a good enough GM where he is going to figure out which quarterback he thinks will be the best in the NFL, and he will take him number one. I personally like Baker Mayfield, but if they go Sam Darnold, I mean, it is what it is. Sam Darnold's going to be a good quarterback too, I think. I personally like Baker Mayfield better. The report is coming out that Josh Allen has fixed his accuracy issues. And if he's truly fixed those and it was truly just his stride and he's striding too far, Josh Allen should get a look at number 1 because he has all the tools. And if he fixes accuracy issues, he could be the best quarterback in this draft. And he could be the steal. And he could be a franchise quarterback for some team for the next 15 years. Regardless, whichever quarterback they take needs to sit on the bench for the next 2 years. I'd say a year at least, but definitely, I would say probably 2. All of them have flaws. All of them have pluses. I still don't particularly trust a USC quarterback, and I know that's unfair to Sam Darnold, because look at all the Cal quarterbacks that never panned out, and then you have Aaron Rodgers. So I think it's kind of ludicrous to go off of a school's quarterback, but let's be honest, we're all human. We all look back at the quarterbacks drafted, and it is what it is. I mean, Mark Sanchez was a highly touted USC quarterback, and he did nothing. Cody Kessler was a good quarterback at USC, and, well, now he got traded for a 6th-round pick out to Washington. So the USC does have a track record of that, but I also don't think you should not draft Sam Darnold because of the college that he went to. I think that's also ludicrous and just ridiculous altogether. So again, I personally like Baker Mayfield, although the Big 12 is not a defensive school. His completion percentage numbers floated up a little bit because the windows were a little bit more open. He had more time to throw because he had the best offensive line in college football. There are a lot of things that you have to look into when looking at a quarterback, deciding whether or not they're the best quarterback in the draft. So for that reason, it worries me a little bit about Baker Mayfield because of the talent that he played at. And the Big 12 still has some good football players over there, but they don't really have any good defensive players. They might have 1 or 2 scattered, but as a whole, not the conference you've known for defense. Conference for defense, you have the Big 10. You even have the SEC a little bit. You have, that's kind of about it in all reality for defense. So his numbers may be a little skewed, maybe. I'm more than willing to listen to that argument. I'm more than willing to listen to Josh Allen at number 1. I very much like Josh Allen in the process. I think he could be a great quarterback. I think he has all the tools. And if they decided to go with Josh Allen, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I just think he needs a lot more seasoning than a lot of these other quarterbacks, which is okay. If he needs to sit for a couple years and they let Tyrod Taylor start for the next 3 years or so to let Josh Allen get ready, hey, whatever it takes. The Browns need a quarterback. They absolutely need a quarterback. So whichever quarterback they take, Cleveland, just be behind him 100%. Don't give up on your franchise. John Dorsey knows what he's doing. Even if he doesn't, you still have Tyrod Taylor. You're still going to win games this year, and you are still going to be competitive. I think the future is bright for Cleveland. I think the playoffs are just a couple of years away. I don't think they're going to make it this year, but they very well could be pushing for a wild card spot, just depending on the division. Depends on how Baltimore does. Baltimore and Cleveland are going to be the 2 wild card teams in the AFC North. I'm not saying wild card for playoffs, but you don't know what you're going to get out of them. Is Joe Flacco going to be the Joe Flacco of old when he took the team to the Super Bowl? Again, I don't know much about the Orioles, the Ravens. The Fett does. So whenever we can talk to the Fett and get him with me, we'll be talking about that. We're also going to do a more in-depth view of the draft. So we are going to be doing some research on it. So that is going to be coming up, and that is not just for our teams, not just for Cleveland. That is for the entire NFL. So again, I think Baltimore and Cleveland are going to be the 2 teams in the AFC North. I think the Bengals are going to be the basement dwellers, and I think Pittsburgh's still the front runner to win the division unless Ben Roethlisberger gets hurt. If Roethlisberger gets hurt, well, there goes Pittsburgh, and then the division is wide open. So, at number 4, I think it's also a no-brainer. If Bradley Chubb's there at 4, Cleveland, don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Take Bradley Chubb. That would ruin me as a Colts fan, but I would be happy at least that I get to watch him on Cleveland, or in Cleveland on Sundays. That would be the only thing that I can forgive Chris Ballard for, is that at least you let him go to Cleveland and I can watch him on Sundays. So I think if you pair him with Emmanuel Ogbah and Myles Garrett, I think you have a defensive line that is going to be a pass rushing force for years to come. I think it's a no-brainer. As much as great as I think Saquon Barkley will be and can be, you do not pass up a generational pass rusher for a running back, especially when you can have two of them on the same team, on the same defensive line, going after the same quarterback. It would just be unbelievable. And then you have Emmanuel Ogbah coming in, and Ogunjobi and Jamie Collins. I mean, that defense, just for those guys, it'll give your secondary plenty of time to cover somebody. So I think that's the route that Cleveland Browns should take. I also think if the tackle from Notre Dame is still available about mid-first round, I think the Browns should do just about anything to trade back into it, whether that takes Corey Coleman and a couple second-rounders. I think it's worth it because now you do need to replace Joe Thomas. So if you could get that left tackle from Notre Dame, who's really the only obvious left tackle that's going to be really any good, or that's really touted as any good, I think you got to go do that. But it is what it is. You can also take a running back from LSU. You could take that running back from Georgia. Lots of different running backs that you can take. Sorry, the names are slipping from my head. Pretty whooped at this point. But there's plenty of options you can go in the second round with running back. It's a very deep running back class. You don't have to worry about a running back, especially when you drafted Carlos Hyde. So are you really going to divvy up? If you put it this way, if you take Saquon Barkley at 4, are you splitting carries between Carlos Hyde and Saquon Barkley? Because if you do that, then where does that leave you with Duke Johnson? Or do you split time with Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde and let Saquon Barkley run into it slowly? But in that case, why did you waste the 4th overall pick on him? So, running back wise, I think you should wait a little bit. That's me thinking that Saquon Barkley is going to be good. That's nothing against Saquon Barkley. I wish him all the best in his career. And if the Colts get back in the first round, which I don't think they will, I would very much like for them to take Saquon Barkley if Quentin Nelson's not there. So, those are just my thoughts on it. I don't think, if the Browns don't go quarterback 1, I think they're kind of foolish. But, hey, John Dorsey knows more than I do. So, I'm just a guy talking sports into a camera. So, I don't know very much. I just enjoy talking sports. But I think that's the most obvious position that the Browns should go. I'm getting a notification. Gary Sanchez hit a 2-run homer. So that's nice. Now the Yankees are up 4-1 because Hanley Ramirez hit a home run. Good job, Gary. Now if Aaron Judge homers tonight, it'll be the second game of the year where the big 3 hit a dinger. So let's hope for that. Let's hope the Yankees can squash the Red Sox like the Red Sox did to us. We got Tanaka on the hill. Let's hope Tanaka can keep the ball down, keep the ball in the park, and let's just go beat Boston the next 2 games. I did look. Sonny Gray is in fact pitching game 3, which is great. That means, I don't know. I did not check for game 4 or for the game after Boston, so I don't know if it's going to be Sessa, if it's going to be Jermaine. I don't even know if they've announced it yet. But good. Looking good in Cleveland. Or looking good in New York. Going up against Boston in Boston at that nasty Fenway Stadium. But other than that, guys, I don't think I have a whole lot left to contribute. I do like the Browns' moves this year. I like the addition of Jarvis Landry a lot. I like Tyrod Taylor a lot. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but I don't think it's a stretch to call him a top 20 quarterback in the NFL right now, with just the way of the land is right now. So who knows? Cleveland could have a good year. Cleveland could fall on its face because Hugh Jackson is just not that good of a coach. Other than that, guys, I'm getting ready to run into a area where there is no cell signal, so I'm going to wrap it up here. It has been 20 minutes anyway, so it's a pretty good lengthy video. And as soon as it's posted, I'll get it shared out to all the social media sites. But guys, if you like the video, if you like me talking into the camera, please leave a like, please leave a comment. It'll help us out more than you guys could ever realize. Like I said before, just leaving a like or leaving a comment can get the channel exposure to other people, can get it out to more people. We can grow this as a family. That's what I want to do more than anything, is make this a family thing. Make it to where friends and family can gather around and interact with me and the Fett as just like you're sitting down on the couch with your buddies, or sitting down and having food with your buddies and you're just talking sports. That is my vision for this podcast. That is my dream. No matter how far it goes, whether we do this just as a fun thing and we don't get very big, or if we get very big, I want it to stay the exact same. Where we come in as friends, we come in as family, and we just have fun. Whether we disagree or agree, there's no need to argue, but just to have fun as a family and friends. Other than that, let's end this rant. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. SkiveWalker signing out. Peace!